All right. So, if you haven't heard, your mindset is crucial to your weight loss success. People think that it's all about the food, but it's really not. Your mind plays tricks on you along the way. What you focus your attention on is what your mind will believe. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that in this video. Okay, so we're going to talk about the reticular activating system, or the RAS system. A prime example of this, before I go into the scientific terms of it, is you buy a new car. You thought you had the most beautiful car. You've never seen a car like it out on the road. And then all of a sudden you're driving around and you keep seeing it everywhere. And you're like, I wasn't seeing these cars before. Well, the reasoning behind that is because your brain didn't feel the need to pay attention to it. So it blended in the background. Those cars have always been there. You just weren't focused on that, and your brain didn't need to be focused on that. So your reticular activating system acts as a filter system, and it only processes, it makes you pay attention to things that actually matter to you. So what you're focusing on is what your brain is going to, show you. It really helps us pay attention to what's important to us. So there's a bunch of different reasonings and things that help with this, but it helps us have more of a selective filter. We're paying attention to things that we are really focused on, and it will filter out things that we don't find very important to us. So it is very important that you're putting positive things into your mind and really thinking about what you want for your goals, because your brain's going to listen to what you're thinking. You're telling it what you want to focus on. So sometimes when people are really focused on losing weight and they're super motivated, now all of a sudden they're noticing all the gyms around, and they're like, oh, I didn't even pay attention to that before. Or starting to figure out new restaurants that they didn't see before, and they're like, oh, there might actually be some good options for me over here. This works in a negative way too. I see people don't really want to be on a diet. They're kind of negative about being on a diet and having to cut calories. And then all they can seem to focus on is the foods that they can't have, because they're in their mind, they're wanting that food, telling themselves no, but their brain is like, yes, you want it. And you're just focusing on you wanting it. That's why we want to try to keep things positive and keep things focused on our goals. So when you're coming up with your goals, and we're going to talk more about goals in another video, you want them to be super clear in your mind, so that your mind is really paying attention to what you actually want, because your mind will even show you things and make you pay more attention to the things that align with your goals if your brain kind of knows what you're thinking. Kind of got to help it out a little bit. So you become more attuned to opportunities and information that go along with what you're thinking about. So that's why we really want to put only the good stuff, only the motivating things, only focus on what our goals want, and try to get rid of that negative so it doesn't sneak in. This is where the positive visualization comes in. Focusing on what you want. And this is some really cool stuff. They've done experiments where they had people, I think it was basketball. They did two groups. They had one group who were just practicing free throws. They were just practicing over and over and over again. And then they had another group who was just visualizing themselves making the free throws. And the group that was visualizing making the free throws actually had better stats than the people who were literally just practicing over and over again. It is crazy what your brain can do. They weren't even actually shooting. They were just visualizing themselves doing the form, having the ball go in. It's amazing what your brain can do. A lot of athletes will visualize their success when it comes to, I think there's a swimmer, I can't remember off the top of my head. Maybe it might even be Michael Phelps, but I don't want you to quote me on that. But they visualize themselves winning, and they get that information into their head, and they focus on that and make it happen. You could do the same kind of thing. You can focus on who you will be when you get to your goal weight and focus on that, what you'll do to get there. And your brain's crazy. Somehow these things like become an actuality, but you have to keep focusing on the right things. Okay. So there is some confirmation bias. Your brain is going to want to look for reasonings to confirm what you already believe. So if you believe you're going to fail because of previous times before, you're probably going to fail. But if you start telling yourself that you can do it, that and visualizing yourself doing it and really setting those strong goals and putting that into your mind, then your brain starts to believe that. And it starts to knock down the other barriers in the background that were telling you, you can't do it. It's amazing. But that's exactly why we don't want the negativity coming in, because your brain will want to believe that. For some reason, brains really favor the negative things. I think it's the protection for yourself, but we don't want to fall into that. We want to try to set the stage for our minds to believe what we want to happen. Even if you feel like right now in this moment, like, I don't know if I can, start telling yourself you can. Instead of saying, well, I'm hoping to get, 20 pounds off. No, I am getting 20 pounds off. Start rephrasing those things in your mind. The more and more that you reinforce this in your head, the more and more your brain is going to start believing it and making it easier and getting these obstacles and challenges and things out of your way so that it can actually be a reality. And I think that's actually part of what I'm about to talk about. So it's really closely connected with your emotions and your motivation. So if you're enthusiastic and positive, everything's going to kind of line up with what you want to do. But if you're negative, demotivated, and really focusing on all the obstacles and everything that you're going to struggle with, then you're going to be stuck there struggling with it. We don't want that. So mindset is super crucial. You want to maintain a positive mindset. You want to set yourself some clear goals, really visualize your success so that you can be successful long term. And even with the visualization, like not just visualize yourself getting to the goal weight that you want to be, but staying there, visualizing your future self years from now at the ideal place that you want to be. It's just, you got to get your brain to start believing. And I know it seems weird, but it works. And you've got to start changing around how you're talking to yourself. And instead of making it like where it's a questionable thing that you're going to do, you make it strong in your mind that that's absolutely what's going to happen. So that's a little tidbit into partly why mindset is so crucial, because your brain will believe what you're telling it. Tell it the things you want it to happen and watch it happen. So stay tuned for more of the videos that are coming up. We're going to talk about goal setting. We're going to talk about some different activities that can get your brain in the right place. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of a foundation so you can kind of understand why this mindset stuff is so important. Like I said, your brain will believe what you tell it. So start tricking it and telling it into these positive things, and they'll become a reality. All right. I will see you in the next video.